And here we go. We have liftoff. Propulsion continues to be normal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Doubling up. Roger, Atlantis.
Water towers fly! Yes!
Tango down to nominal.
Fighting downside SPD off. Bring in SPD off. It's orange!
Orange 45! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage. Put that in the big bag, Jingle.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
If there's methane to be igniting in the flare, correct?
Yikes. You dead? We don't need any more of these.
Good afternoon, and for the first time in a long time, you are looking at an empty launch pad down in Starbase, Texas, following the first test flight of Starship, including Ship 24 and Booster 7. I am Sawyer Rosenstein, and I will be hosting as we take a look at what we can see now post-launch and predictions for the future. Joining me is Adrian Bile from Starbase. Adrian, how's it going?
It's going fantastic. I mean, how can you not be in a good mood after what we saw yesterday? And yeah, I'm looking forward to talk with you about what we saw and what we expect to see and all of that.
I'm excited. We also have with us Alejandro Alcantarilla Romero. Alex, how's it going?
Well, I'm sort of just like before the launch, kind of speechless right now. I probably have more words to say a little bit later, as thoughts come by. But yeah, boy, lots of things.
Yeah, we're still kind of running off of little sleep, but lots of excitement nonetheless, I'm sure. And we have Patrick Calhoun in the background who is pushing the buttons, pulling the levers, and bringing you what photons we have from Texas to you. A reminder, if you have any questions about the flight analysis, you can at NASASpaceflight, and we will do our best to answer as many of those as we can. So obviously, yesterday, a big day with that first test flight, although it did end with the automated flight termination system activating. Still a lot of successes we saw on that first flight, right, Alex?
Yeah, there was a lot going right-ish and things that were also going bad-ish, I guess. Um, yeah, we saw a really good countdown, I will say, because that was sort of the main problem on Monday. We went there with that pressurization system problem on the booster. Then SpaceX later confirmed that it was due to moisture on the pressurization pipes. Uh, so that was clear. They went through a good countdown there. Obviously, the problems came after the engines ignited, right? And we can probably talk more in detail about when probably things went sideways, because literally sideways. Because if you look at the footage right at engine ignition, there's no concrete being spilled out or anything like that. It's pretty much clean, just like we've seen on previous, static fire tests and things like that. It is when it is approaching the moment of, ramping up all the thrust on the engines for liftoff, when, things start to go sideways. Literally, the rocket, lifts off and goes sideways as it clears the pad. And yeah, that was probably when things started to go wrong. We saw engines going out, lifted off. It went well, even with some engines out, but eventually some of those engines, like more engines, gave out, and yeah, it lost control. FTS was activated, and the flight ended. But on the flip side, they got a lot of data, so that's what they have. That's what they will do. They will be cleaning up everything. They will be looking through all the data, and that's what we expect them to do. After all, learning. That's what they were intending to do.
Exactly. And Adrian, before we get to some of the replays and take a look at the flight itself, what is the atmosphere like right now in the area around Starbase after this attempt?
Yeah, we just drove to Starbase a bit ago and tried to see if the road closure would end. So we were excited to maybe look at all of that in person. Unfortunately, it was confirmed to us that the road would not open today because they are still in cleanup. But overall, I would say there's a mix of, there you go, there's the roadblock. It's a mix of being still excited, tired, which is also part of this. And also very happy that we all got to witness that launch, because I can tell you it's something that was breathtaking to see. Really, I started to look at replays yesterday and look at the SpaceX stream, because of course I didn't see that while we were live, and looked at all of the angles that were available, and it was just cool to see every angles that are available. And we'll see and show some of our amazing angle here very soon.
Exactly. First, want to thank a couple people who are supporting us even before the stream started and post-flight here. Starship 24, it was nice knowing you. Rip Ship 27, Booster 7, we're with you there. Olive Kids, this was terrific success. Provided a terrific amount of data. We witnessed a historical event. That is very true. We did get to see history. Mini Dr. M, Hoppy update. We will update you on how Hoppy's doing during the flight recap here. We've got Riven, what a time to be alive. Last 24 hours have been insane. They absolutely have. Speaking of insane, Nerd, thank you for gifting 10 Red Team memberships. This is very much appreciated. And if you did get gifted one of those Red Team memberships, please make sure you give Nerd a thank you there. Don Giovanni, thank you very much. Talking about the crater at the launch pad. Preston, thank you for becoming a PadRat member. William, thank you very much for the generous support there. And then we have Charles and Trevor both saying for the Van Memorial / Repair Fund, which, stick around, we will get to that. For now, though, let's take a look at some of the launch replays that we had, and then Alex and Adrian will help me break down what we're seeing and if we can learn anything from those replays. So we will let Patrick take over here and play that first replay for us. And this is from SpaceX. This is one that Alex was just talking about, actually.
Oh yeah, this one. This is the one where you can see all the... There we go.
Let's listen in. The biggest thing as we watch it again there is taking a look in particular in the ocean. Alex, I know you were mentioning that, but it looks like there's debris all the way hitting the Gulf of Mexico there.
Yeah, it's crazy how far away those got. But you can see there in that same video what I mentioned before, that for the first few seconds while those engines are in that ignition process, because they are not igniting at the full power levels, so they're not impinging yet very deep into the concrete or anything like that, so you cannot see any chunks going out there. Now as soon as they ramp up to full power, the rocket starts lifting off, that thing is just basically blasting all of those chunks of pieces. You can see some really big chunks nearby, and yeah, the smaller ones obviously go farther away. A bit obvious for me to mention this, but yes, the smaller ones go farther away and hit the ocean and all of the surrounding areas. Yeah, it's, I mean, boy, it's pretty, a lot of damage there.
Yeah, and apologies in advance if we say ocean to refer to the Gulf of Mexico. Uh, this is coming from someone who used to live along the Gulf. Apologies for that, but that will likely happen interchangeably throughout the stream today. But yeah, Adrian, from your perspective there, since you're at Starbase and have seen the area around it, that seems like a large debris area that we're seeing there.
Yeah, it really. I mean, that is quite a bit of a way where there are already chunks, and of course you can see it in the ocean, but that also assumes that there are other debris in the other direction. So that's quite a zone where pieces are coming down. That's also explaining why they take some time right now for debris cleanup, because yeah, that's probably also on the road. So that's explaining a lot. I also think that the you can really well see how the rocket almost performs a power slide of the pad, because at the beginning it's more sliding almost to the right than it goes up, which is an interesting view to see. Because if you look at here, as soon as you have first movement, which is coming up very soon, there you can see the rocket kind of sliding off the pad while going up, which is an interesting view to see. We saw it yesterday as well. It looked really off in the first moment, and it's maybe it's part of the approach to not damage the pad at all. Get away as fast as you can.
Exactly. Want to give a couple more quick thanks here. Nunes, thank you for becoming a Pad Rep member. And Gary Molesky, thank you for the very generous super chat there without a message, but still, the support there is very much appreciated. Now, there's a lot of questions that we still want to get to here, and I think the best way to get to those questions is to first take a quick look at the replay that we did, the quick turnaround from yesterday. So this was immediately after liftoff, some of the first looks we got at this launch and the attempt, edited by yours truly. So we will go ahead and listen and enjoy that. By the way, really quickly, shout out to Patrick, who manually tracked that previous shot that we just saw there on launch day. That was beyond impressive. And we also have our trackers from Das and from Michael that did a phenomenal job too. So I want to give them a big shout out here for their phenomenal camera work.
Yeah, absolutely. Really amazing shots here. And I love, that was like the thing you really noticed everywhere you could see this, how the engines started to go out, because you could see always the very bright, like you could see the not very bright actually flame in flight, but suddenly when the Raptors went out, you had like this burst of orange flames that always was like, oh, you could almost count them, like, oh, that's another one, and that's another one. So that was really interesting to see on the flight, and that maybe in the end also resulted in it not reaching the full goal. But yeah, amazing thing to see it rise, and after all, it got to almost 40 kilometers, so that's a step.
Yeah, approximately 39 kilometers was the official number there. And while we had that video, I want to ask a couple of questions from chat here that are sort of related to what we've seen and what we're seeing. I am Jaded Hobo asking, we've heard a lot about concrete potentially flying up into the engine bay. How would concrete have made it up into the engine bay flying upstream of all that exhaust thrust? Alex?
Well, the same way it can probably jump all the way to even the top of the booster, right? Because we've seen some of that footage, big chunks going all the way up, and yeah, it's a lot of power from those engines to carve that out from from the concrete. So yeah, it's just a matter of little pieces going up and bouncing back into the engine section. That could be the case. Now, we do not have hard proof of that because it's just like a good guess of, hey, we're seeing a lot of concrete being thrown out. There's probably a good chance that some of that has gone into the engines, but we don't really have like a confirmation that that happened, or that the engines out at liftoff were as a result of that event, right? So far, what we can say though is that it's very likely. There's nothing saying that it cannot happen, but we cannot definitely say yes, this that happened was because of the concrete.
Right. And one of the other questions kind of that we've heard as well in regards to those potential engines out, Nate, one of a few people here asking, could some of the failure have been caused by the destruction of one of the HPUs, the hydraulic power units, aside from the multiple engines giving out? Adrian, any thoughts on the APUs on this vehicle?
Absolutely. We can at least confirm that one HPU was severely damaged. Most likely that is not really great because these HPUs provide the hydraulic pressure to control the engines. Of course, if you lose the control over them, that could mean you're no longer able to properly steer the Raptors, which could in the end result in them not properly being able to steer and losing control over the rockets. So I think as of this point, pending more confirmation from SpaceX, that might be a very likely explanation why the rocket started to tumble.
And you can see here as it goes up in this shot even, you see there one engine gives out and then you see another explosion. So you see there, hold up.
There's
there
the
we
other
go.
one.
There you go. So it's like two engines. It's one engine, then another engine, and the second engine when it explodes, because it literally explodes and throws out shards of the protection shrouds that are around the engines. When it does that, it's right below where the HPU is, where the hydraulic power unit is located. And so that explosion actually affects part of the of that, and that's the reason why it gives out. Like the HPU just basically is between the engine and the explosion. So it's another victim of that explosion. Elon said it's like a grenade. It's like very, very explosive event when it happens.
Yeah, there is the explosive part right there of the automated flight termination system activating as well. We have a few more replays that we want to show you, and we can actually even narrate over this next one a bit. And again, if you have questions about what we're showing, you can tag us at NASASpaceflight. So this is from one of our cameras along the river there. And Alex, let me know what you're seeing as it lifts off here.
Sure. So we're seeing there that big cloud of all the dust and Starship lifting off. It drifts away as we're seeing there, all the shaking. Kind of expected. But yeah, it self-corrected very quickly. That was really nice. But yeah, you can see all of that plume of dust and concrete from the whole thing happening. Yeah.
This plume of
Exactly.
dust, by the way, was massive. Like after launch, it was amazing how huge this plume of dust was and how far you could see it. It was really like a dust tower that was still standing there, even like minutes after launch. So it kind of almost seems small here compared how huge it really was.
And how long that plume sticks around afterwards, too, was impressive. Here's a question from Mark talking about a theoretical question here and also about the engines, asking, what do you think the most critical data gathered from this launch is? And also, if the debris damaged those engines, how do we launch from the moon or Mars? Adrian, I'll throw that one to you first.
Could you repeat that question? I'm sorry.
Sure. It's what do you think the most critical data gathered was for this launch? And also, if the debris damaged the engines, how would we launch from the moon or Mars? I guess asking about relights.
Yeah. First off, the good thing is Super Heavy will never launch from Moon and Mars. It will always be Starship, which is way less fast and hopefully way less debris flying up. So that's the first point about this question. I think overall, I would call the result this: the rocket kinda did what it's supposed to do. It kind of depends on how much of the Raptors being damaged was due to debris hitting maybe the lower part of the booster. Like, it's hard to right now make a full concrete a damage analysis about the rocket because we don't know how much of that was actually stage 0 hitting the rocket. So that's the I guess the hard point here to analyze. Once that is fully done, I think the first learning lesson here is that that stage 0 will need some improvements right now, because as we see, it has some, and we will talk about that later with more close-up screenshot. Stage 0 has still something to work on.
Exactly. Want to thank a few people here really quickly, including Happy Cappy with a $50 super chat, saying Booster 7 and Ship 24 were supposed to separate, but they knew their fate and wanted to end it together. A real Thelma and Louise moment. Asking additionally, has Alex seen that movie?
Well, I'm not the guy that you should ask about movies. That's Adrian. But yeah.
Adrian, have you seen it?
No. I have to. I mean, at this point, let's be real, guys. I just don't like movies. So, if basically the chance is, if you ask me, have I seen that movie? The answer is 90% no. And also, Jack is very angry at me right now. I can tell you. Yeah, I'm basically being forced to watch movies soon. I think there might be a situation where I will be tied to a chair and we will watch movies. I think that's coming to me here very soon.
Adrian, no matter what happens, I'm glad I broadcast with you. Musical Wolves here coming in saying, was stage 7 supposed to be triggered with a hydraulic motion? And will Booster 9 use electric for stage separation? Excuse me. Also, what can SpaceX do to make it more Kerbal? I think they made it pretty darn Kerbal with those flips there. But Alex, what was the deal with the stage separation?
Well, people are too concerned about the hydraulics and the separation of the ship. I'm more concerned about the fact that the engines kept burning. That seems to me more a bigger problem. Because if you don't shut down the engines, how the heck are you going to be releasing the ship, right? Because the booster needs to be shut down in order for the ship to then drift away. That is sort of the whole deal of the stage separation system. So it's not that the clamps were not released for the ship to separate or whatever. It's also that the booster was still thrusting. So, that's sort of the first thing in my mind. Even before you release the clamps, you still need to shut down the engines.
Exactly. Before we go to more questions, do want to point out we have a new tweet from Elon Musk. It is in reply to Eric Berger, and it is saying here, 3 months ago, we started building a massive water-cooled steel plate to go under the launch mount. Wasn't ready in time, and we wrongly thought, based on the static fire data, that Fundag would make it through one launch. Looks like we can be ready to launch again in 1 to 2 months. I hear the chuckle from you there, Alex. Adrian, I'll start with you, though, first. What are your thoughts on that?
I believe the timeline when I see it. That's my initial reaction to this. 1 to 2 months sounds, at this point, like my initial reaction is, that sounds very, very optimistic to me. I do not want to, of course, Elon probably has more insight to this than I have. But 1 to 2 months sounds, based on what we have seen, very ambitious as a timeline. However, I'm glad they are recognizing they want to definitely install some side of deluge here to this and like some sort of mitigation of damage to the pad. So that's my initial reaction to this tweet live.
Yeah. My chuckle was maybe twofold in that he says it wasn't ready in time, and we wrongly thought, based on static fire data, that phone deck will make it through one launch. And we actually kind of thought that would be the case when we saw the aftermath of the 31-inch static fire test, where it was charred, right? I was a little bit burned and everything, but yeah, the concrete seemed okay. It was like, yeah, it's not, but then it was like, well, it's 50% thrust, right? And lots of things can change when you ramp up all the power of those Raptors. And that's probably what happened here, that they probably didn't think that it was going to be that excessive. How the ramp up from 50 to 90% will probably be a damage from almost no damage to exponentially increasingly damage to that concrete, right? So that's probably here what they were like, eesh. We did a live stream right after that static fire where we were talking about the reaction, sort of like today, but after the static fire. And I actually was like, yeah, that might be good for the launch. They probably thought the same, because it was like, yeah, it's okay, right? But reality always wins, I guess.
Yeah, I'm gonna put the caveat that is 1 to 2 months Elon time. So
Yeah, that's the other part of my chuckle.
To be
yeah,
fair, Elon also said, like, I think a month ago that they are targeting the end of the 3rd week of April, and made the first 420 reference for the launch date. And that played out very well, I have to say. Like, that tweet aged very well based on when it launched.
Yeah, and I will come back again to the same analysis that we've made right at the beginning of the live stream, where I said that at the beginning, when the engines are starting up, since they are not at full power, you don't see any chunks of concrete flying off. It's when they ramp up to full power when you actually see all of that. So at the beginning was just basically like the static fire that we saw in February, right? Where things got charred, got burned. That's sort of what you expect with all of these power and engines. The problem is when you ramp up the power even further, you basically make a mess of all of that concrete, and that's what happened.
Yeah. Also, you also have this cascading effect. Like, imagine like a bunch of Legos you have like in a concrete pad. Like, once one brick is removed, it's easier to get into that, and more concrete starts flying. So it's like a cascading moment of at some point the concrete breaks. And
Yeah,
once
all the
that starts,
erosion.
you have more and more parts of the concrete that are just flying out. So I think that's also what happened here. They reached a critical point where the thrust was just too much for the concrete to handle, and then it's when it started flying.
yeah. My prediction will be end of Q3, beginning of Q4 that we see another attempt. So that's basically double to triple Elon time. Want to rattle through some super chats here. We've got a lot of them piling up, but we want to still acknowledge everybody here. Niels, thank you very much for the support. We will talk about the OLM damage. I promise you that. Musical Wolves, is Mary back home yet? We will have to check on that, and I'll let you know. Tongue, truly amazed the tank farm didn't take more damage or even explode. Again, we will talk about the tank farm and the OLM. We've got some great pictures. I promise we will show those to you. Peter, thank you for becoming a PadRat member. Ashen asking if we saw the Raptors that failed seem to not perform a chill or no frost on them. We'll have to see. From our cameras, though, the replays that we just showed, it didn't seem that way. Nick, with a good question. I'm going to hold on to that because we have 2 or 3 people asking that same question, and I want to hit it. Ultravo, we will be showing them full screen. Thank you. JP, thank you very much. Talking about the lack of diverter and deluge. I guess kind of relevant given what Elon just tweeted there about potentially reducing dust and debris, but we're already planning on launch again in a few minutes here. Calderstein, thank you very much for becoming a Capcom member. And now I do want to hit a question for both Ron Watkins and Nick Salve here. saying, I noticed that the flame isn't blue like it was on Relativity. Was there a mixture issue? And Ron Watkins asking the same thing, saying thought methane turned blue. Alex, why'd we see it kind of pinkish?
Well, first of all, the Raptor engine burns differently than the Eon 1 engine from Relativity's Terran 1. Sort of the same as if you see Adrian probably can vouch for me about this. The Suka 2 rocket from Chinese company Landspace. You see the rocket exhaust, and it is bluish, purple, pinkish. It's not full blue. So it's sort of in that same vein as well. It depends basically on what engine you're using, the mixture ratio, the things like the temperatures, whatever, right? And in this case, it's probably also likely that because some of the Raptors were not in proper condition, I will say, maybe that also impacted the visuals of the color of the exhaust.
Exactly. It was a little shocking to me as well. I will say I was expecting it to be a lot more blue and imagining 33 blue engines. But I guess we'll change the song on Pink Dabba Dee Dabba Die. All right, there we go. I got a sympathy chuckle. I'll take it. Let's see. I believe we'll get some more replays up for you guys soon as well. Because I know we've got a lot of fantastic views here that we can show you as we continue to answer your questions. Reminder, tagging us at NASASpaceflight. Let's see, while we're looking at that one, at this view at the moment, here's a good question from MG Weatherman asking, notice that the OLM was venting all day. Do we know why? Adrian, any idea why the OLM might have still been venting 24 hours later?
There's two teams here. There's the team, it's probably just an extended purge to make sure everything is good. There's also another team, which I have to say I am in, which is especially fueled by the fact that we also saw some very weird vent patterns, which looked a bit off. I think there might be some pipes and some vents they have maybe not have full control after the damage to stage 0. So there might be also the situation where they just have to let certain parts of the tank farm boil off and gas out before it's safe. That it's not something unprecedented. We had similar situations in Boca before where they lost control over certain things and they needed to boil off some things to make sure that they are safe to approach. And I think that might be the case here as well, where there might be something in the lines they cannot fully control anymore.
Yeah, it's a really good question there, and we'll of course wait for the official word, but it was interesting to see all that time they're still being venting, and even from this view you can see a little bit of the damage there on the tank farm, and we've got more pictures coming, but it's crazy that they're almost like dented and warped looking, Alex. It's kind of strange.
Yeah, they took quite a beating from those pieces of concrete flying off. Yeah, that was not a good outcome, I will say, because if the concrete had just flown off and not really had done all of this damage, it probably would have been okay. But now one wonders what are they gonna do with all of those bent pipes and bent tanks and all that. It's gonna take a while. It's not gonna be just putting a plate, as he said, water cooled plate or whatever underneath. It's gonna take a lot more work than that.
Exactly.
I love how
Go
Alex, hang on.
Oh, wait.
I'm going
whoa,
to jump in.
That's a different voice. Who's this?
Yeah, I'm going to start talking here. It's Das. What's up?
Das?
I love how people say, like, oh, yes, all of this damage, it's going to take time. Like, look at the screen right now. Do you see the shielding on the bottom of the tower that's been folded back inwards at the seams? There's charring, sure, there's like white charring, but some of the blast plates that were intentionally designed to protect the tower have been folded in at the seams. The tanks are dented. There's like a crater underneath the OLM. Everything's scarred. The doors are blown off. And then we're like, oh yeah, it's going to take a little time to repair this damage. I saw Elon's tweet like just as I was sitting down here ready to start talking, and I think the thing is, that's when Elon would like for them to be ready to launch again. And every time Elon tweets a date, it's what Elon would like. And honestly, that's why SpaceX gets a lot of stuff done, right? Because Elon pushes very hard. And even though Elon would like for them to be ready to fly in some amount of time, I don't even think we've seen all the damage that's been done yet. Did I jump in? Did I just throw like an unpopular opinion in to everybody here? Like, oh, Dosh shows up and he's so negative.
No, I was saying the same thing. I was just trying to put it lightly, but thanks.
And that goes along with the poll that's in chat right now. Elon ready for launch in 1 to 2 months? You bet, or press X to doubt.
I think we should also mention the picture on the left side here, because
Yes.
that's NSF's Max Evans, who went out to the sea this morning.
He was on a boat this morning, and he went all the way over to just off the coast. All the NOTAMs are gone, so people can look, right? Look at the drawworks on the left-hand side of the screen there, where the little, I don't know, magnifying glass is. I don't know if that's melted or if that's holes in that, but the drawworks cover that was. What is the status of the drawworks behind that? And I have no clue.
We should also mention the fact that the chopsticks are still up. That's also another thing that is, I don't say super worrying yet, but there is at least some slight concern about the fact that the chopsticks have not moved since they launched. So have they full control about the chopsticks? Can they move them down?
Honestly, I think that the best case scenario is that they haven't been able to get people there due to other conditions that exist at the facility, right? They haven't been able to get people there to inspect the cables and drawworks and stuff because there's bigger problems, bigger fish to fry. So maybe they don't want to move the chopsticks, the drawworks, any of that until somebody can get eyes on it and say, okay, it looks like we can let these things down. Because right now they're sort of in a static, fixed position, and maybe it's best just not to touch them, not to move them, right?
Yeah, what is that section, by the way, used for on the pad that you're talking about there?
The drawworks on the left-hand side with all the melty, blasted anti-tank round holes in it?
Yes.
So that is part of the side where they have some of the equipment. I don't think that it's actually the cables or the spools themselves are there. Adrian, is it? Or is that some of the supporting equipment for the cables that go up the tower and actually operate the chopsticks?
I think that I'm pretty sure that part was installed as they installed the chopsticks. So I'm pretty sure that's main chopsticks control related.
Yeah.
And also, again, if that's it, that might be a reason why they're not moving them.
I really do think that like best case scenario is that there are other conditions that exist at the facility, other leaks, maybe somebody's gas sensor went off or something. We know they're not out there having a party under the OLM right now, right? I guess if they wanted, they could make it a swimming pool now. But maybe it's just they can't get people there to inspect the stuff, and until they get eyes on it, it's in a static, stable state, we hope. Just leave it like it is. And I'm reading chat too. Like I know sometimes we jump in and we're all very excited that this thing launched, but I'm reading chat. Like I'm very interested in what people think about this because there was a lot of excitement yesterday, and today I think there's a lot of reality sort of setting in, right?
Yeah, a lot more questions than answers in a lot of senses, honestly.
Yep.
All right, let's take some more of your questions here again, tagging us at NASASpaceflight. Starship Man was asking about, we were looking a little bit from the other view, even at the tank farm. Do we know exactly what happened to the tank farm?
Well, we don't exactly know. That has to be said, but we know at least 2 tanks are very dented. That's we see the outer shell being dented, so that's dense. One of them should be.
Look at the shot though.
Yeah.
Like it's like, oh yeah,
Wow.
the tanks are dented. Well, remember those tanks are how tall? They're like small apartment buildings, right? It's not like a little chunk of brick fell off or something like that. Like those tanks are very dented right now.
And correct me if I'm wrong here, Alex. One of them is water, right? The right one of the dented tanks is
so
water?
here on this picture from the left, you can see the first 2 are water tanks. Now, they are built differently. The second one is empty, and it is just one single layer. the one on the far left, the one that is more wrinkled, I guess, that is an outer shell and an inner shell that was originally planned to be a methane tank, and thankfully it is not a methane tank anymore. And I believe at some point it was holding water for the Firex system and all the other water systems that they need. But to me, the most important things are sort of the ones that are more to the foreground and to the right here, which are, oh, there we go.
Yep.
With
Look at that.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that one where the pencil is right now there, that one has a puncture up at top. So you can see a little bit up there. There we go.
Yeah.
It has a
There's
puncture
venting
there.
coming from that, right?
Yeah, and this is I believe this is a liquid oxygen tank. So this is not, a little bit of water leaking here and there. That is a liquid oxygen tank. Those 3 tanks that you can see there, that one on the center, the one on the right, and the one on the further right, which is next to the road, those 3 are liquid oxygen tanks. And thankfully, though, the rocket contains a lot of liquid oxygen that they already took from the tank farm. So the amount of liquid oxygen that this tank farm contains is probably not a lot, but still probably in the order of dozens of tons of liquid oxygen, right? So it's not just the water tank; it's also the oxygen tank here. I will be very surprised if they do not do any work at all. Like, they're gonna need a lot of work on these tanks. I wouldn't be surprised even if they get rid of some of them, because especially the water tanks on the far back of the picture, those are just water tanks that they can put another water tank near the tower or something. They don't need that there at all. Even Elon said, "Oh,
go ahead, Alex." No, I was going to say that was like a good call by somebody to put the water tanks there, because the tanks that got hit the hardest are water tanks. And, if a water tank is leaking, it's okay. We don't want water tanks to leak. But if all of the consumables that they store at the site, if you had to pick one thing to leak, water is probably the thing that you would pick to leak, unless they had a tank of regular air somewhere, right?
Yeah, and also just to point out that talking about repairs and timelines, if these tanks are punctured and really considerably punctured, there is serious doubt in my mind if they can completely recertify them to store massive amounts of liquids in them anymore. Because that might be a situation where somebody from a regulatory side is looking at them and be like, that's a bit of a safety hazard to me.
Yeah, you want to do what?
Yeah, it's like, you want to store 5,000 tons of liquid oxygen next to a public road in a punctured tank?
In a tank that was next to you called it the most powerful rocket ever, right? And then we're just going to certify this tank to put liquid oxygen in it again. SpaceX always. Oh. Go ahead, Alex. Go.
Yeah, I thought you were done there, but I was thinking that this is most likely just because of the concrete, because probably if they hadn't, overseen or overlooked, more better said, if they hadn't overlooked the problem with the concrete, and put an actual flame diverter, any of this would have been avoided. Because then you have the flame going into a direction that it is nowhere near the tanks, right? And you probably can afford having, because I can understand that having a very small footprint that they have there, they were like, we're going to put here the tanks. And I can understand that. The issue is, you put that there, and you put a flame diverter so that all of your flames and all your bits flying off do not go to the tank farm. Because if they go to the tank farm, boy, you have a problem. And that's what they found out here, that all of that concrete just went flying off.
Yeah, in every direction, and you don't get to control the directions, right?
Exactly.
So one of the biggest parts of it, besides the fact, the energy has to go somewhere. You've built the most powerful rocket in the world, the biggest, the best, all these things, and it takes the most energy to take off. And in order for it to take off, you have to have X amount of force coming out the end, and we don't just get to unicorns and stars and fairies the energy away. You have to deal with the energy somehow, right? In the best case scenario, you can't neutralize it. You don't have like a Romulan energy neutralizing ray that you get to fire at the bottom of the rocket and then magically there's no energy affecting anything. Like the best case scenario that we have right now is being able to send that energy in a direction. Like be in control of the direction that the energy ends up going. And I think that was really the big thing that was lacking here, because the energy went in every direction. And I mean, parts of the orbital launch mount concrete went in every direction as well.
Yeah, and just to hit that, because I see some people are talking about that. Yes, there is an inner and an outer shell on these tanks. There we see it.
There you go. Nice.
The main tank is the inner tank. However, some of these debris hit over 300 kilometers an hour flying away.
Yeah.
So yes, we only see damage to the outer shell. But if a piece hits this shell with 350 kilometers an hour, does it stop there?
Yep.
Or does it also have still enough energy to also go to the inside tank?
Yeah.
And that's a question. And again, these are Starship rings. Starship rings are not known to be particularly thick in the outside.
Yep.
So it might as well be that these inner tanks are also hit.
Yeah. And I guess, yes, there's you got a little bit of shielding there, I guess you could call it. It's not really designed to be impact shielding. It's not like a tank. I mean, like a tank military vehicle, right? It's a tank that's supposed to hold things. But really, I think the thing is, we saw something venting out of the side of the tank. Like it's in the shot right here up at the top middle. And we saw something coming out of it where there should not have been something coming out. So exactly what was it? Was it something that was supposed to be in there? There you go. Thank you for circling that. There was earlier something coming out of that. And there should not be things coming out of that. Was it what was inside the main tank in the middle? Was it not? No official answers, but there was something coming out. So luckily it stopped now, and I think that's going to continue on. Like SpaceX is letting the site sort of settle into a state, just like y'all were talking about earlier, that sometimes when they lose control of things, the best that they can do is let it just boil off. It's happened with Falcon 9s. It's happened with tests here at Starbase. That's a legitimate strategy when you don't have a lot of other options. So maybe what's going on right now is SpaceX is just extending this time so that things can sort of boil off. Remember, none of the propellants that they use like to be liquids at normal temperatures and pressures, right? They want to be gases. They want to fly free into the atmosphere. And so whenever you lose the ability to either maintain the temperature of them with Adrian's favorite chilling, or the pressure of them with valves and systems, compressors and stuff like that would maintain pressure, you may just have to let them run free, which is one thing that may be what's going on right now,
Yeah, while we're answering some more of your questions, we should take a look at some other replays that we have of the launch, because we're showing the damage, but it's also a good idea to kind of see what happened during launch so we can get an idea of where we're at now. Hit a couple super chats here. Telstar, thank you very much. Oh, apologies, we have audio first.
Yes.
Again, that dust plume is absolutely insane. Just filling the whole screen like that. I still love it. Telstar, thank you very much for the support. I know we addressed that just a short time ago, that the orange color is not likely because of engine issues. Michael Kevin, thank you very much here, asking, do you think it will take longer to repair the orbital launch mount and surrounding equipment, or the tank farm? Adrian, I'll throw this one to you. What do you think?
I actually think the surrounding... Well, it depends. Can they even repair the OLM, or do they need to redesign the OLM? That's also another question here. If they need to completely redesign the OLM, I think the OLM will take longer. If they stick with this concept and just throw a deluge plate below it, then I think it will be the surrounding equipment, because I think they need to replace at least some of the tanks in the tank farm, which might take them some time, based on what we have seen in the last times they did that.
Yeah. We have another does here saying, could they remove the concrete factor and stick to steel? So I do want to point out first, before I toss that to you, Alex, is that the concrete is a special type of concrete. You heard Elon mention it in his tweet called Fondag, which is a higher strength, supposedly more heat resistant, durable concrete that apparently is less of a match than we thought for 33/30 Raptor engines. Alex, what do you think about jet fuel can't melt steel beams versus Fondag concrete?
Boy, I will say that, you know, putting a steel plate there, water cool, whatever. I'm still of the thing of the thought that while I understand all of their design choices and things like that, maybe a flame diverter someplace to divert all of that energy, because that plate, unless it is super heavily water cooled with a deluge system and everything, I just don't see that thing surviving. Like, I think we're probably gonna see, you know, going from concrete pieces of flying to pieces of metal flying, and then concrete once it hits even further down, right? Um, it's not something that I'm seeing. Now again, they might have done all of their, you know, studies and whatnot, but we'll see what happens.
Is this the video where there's the huge chunk of
Yes.
flaming something that I'm waiting for it to replay again to see if I can catch it? But
There's actually
Patrick, I don't
two
know-
big pieces.
yeah, our ability to pause it at times, if we can catch that somewhere. But if I recall correctly, there was like a massive flaming chunk of something. It may not have been flaming. It may have been the rocket lighting, you know, smoke coming from behind it.
Yeah,
I don't know
so
if
it
these are.
begins,
Yeah, there it is.
and
Or I mean, there the rocket
you can
is.
see it right where the rocket lifts off. There you go. That's one big piece right next to the booster.
Yeah,
That is
look at
that is
the,
like
the frost line.
Yeah, 70 meters. So that's what you can see there. The QD arm, it's there. That's about 70 meters tall from the bottom of the booster. So that's probably more like 80 from the ground. 80 or
And it's
90.
not quite half the diameter. I mean, it maybe is half the diameter of the rocket. It looks like it's a little bit more than that, which
Yeah.
would put the width of that piece of something at what, 5 meters maybe? I'm guessing. I don't have a ruler.
That's
Oh, now I
it's
see
very
it.
big.
It took
I
me
think-
way too long to see it.
I'd say between
Do we
5
have
and
the
10.
ability to circle this or something? Go ahead, Sawyer.
No, I was gonna say I would say it's about between 5 and 10. Either way, that's massive.
It
in
is.
comparison to the vehicle.
We're working on being able to point this out for you. If you don't see it, it's hard to see, but do you see where the white frost on the booster sort of meets the cloud, the dust, right? I guess the pad is what it is. And you see that piece of something, it's dark and it's sticking just up above the smoke, and it's like sort of in front of the frost at the top of the booster. That piece is not supposed to be there. It's certainly not supposed to be 70 or 80 meters in the air. And it's a huge piece of something.
Yeah, if you
Yeah,
go down
just
from
to-
the chopsticks and to the right a touch, that's the piece we're talking about.
Yeah. Here we go. Did that just changed a little bit, it looks. There you go. Thank you, Patrick. Do you see in the middle of that circle? That is
my
likely a huge slab of concrete. Maybe not from the middle of the pad, but maybe from the edge where you've got concrete, and then underneath the concrete, there's eventually dirt, right? There's beach, soil, whatever. And the plume sort of dug this hole into the ground, and then it got underneath the bordering slabs of concrete, and there's no way for the energy to go. And so it blew the piece of concrete 70 meters in the air.
Also-
Everybody in chat seeing that now?
It also shows also how weird the energy even got below the pad, because usually if you deflect the energy all the way down, you would at some point the pieces to fly like right and left and right.
Yep.
But this had so like it was hit in probably like from a bounce back from the energy and then lifted up.
Yep.
It went up, which is like a weird angle if you try to imagine how the energy had to go there.
Yep. I almost want to model this like at a science museum, right? You know how you have like a thing at the science museum, and then the water flows like this and it moves the sand like this, right? Like imagine it this way. Imagine you had some flat Lego plates, I guess, on the top of some sand. And then you took like a pressure washer or something. I don't know that we should say that the rocket was like a pressure washer, but it had a lot of force going in a direction, right? So say you had Lego plates sitting on top of sand, and there's sand underneath, and you took a pressure washer and pointed it straight down. What's going to happen to those plates? Like, the plates are just going to go away? Once you get past a single plate, or you get to a crack in a plate, like a seam between two big pieces of concrete, you have energy that's ending up underneath and hitting the sand, hitting the softer material, right? Where's it going to go?
And I want to point out one more thing. We now established peas can fly up. You know what also is up?
Oh, no.
Raptor engines. The thing is, if this was able to go up, nothing stops the concrete pieces from flying up and hitting Raptor engines. And we know Raptor engines were already damaged at liftoff. So you could create a situation where you hit the ground, debris fly...
Somebody found it. Anyways, pay no attention to the store order. Keep talking about this piece of concrete.
We'll talk about that later. The debris flies up, damages Raptor engines, because we just saw things can fly almost directly up.
We have our new slogan. Remember, water towers can fly? And we're like, oh, what's it supposed to be? It's not water towers can fly, but, you know, rockets can fly, skyscrapers can fly, we were going to say.
5-meter giant blocks of concrete can fly.
Blocks of concrete can fly.
Yeah.
Concrete can fly. Good grief. Let's keep stepping through this video because it really does show a lot. Jay did a fantastic job of having this fantastic video camera at our southern camera site. Let's see if we can go forward a little bit more in this video. Thank you, Patrick. So watch for that big piece.
There it comes.
Oh, it goes up, and then it falls down again. And there's another piece.
Yep.
You'll see the little gap in the clouds to the right of the booster, sort of even with the chopsticks. Take the chopsticks and follow your eye to the right. There is another huge chunk of something.
It almost looks like the bottom's on fire a touch.
Yeah.
And it looks small, but that's like 1 or 2 meters.
Oh, yeah.
That's not small. If that hits the tank farm, not great.
You know something? Here we go. We saw it change, so we know that Patrick's going to be able to circle it here. Look at this. That is a very big circle, Patrick. Smaller circle. Tighten it up. Thank you. Bullseye. All right, cool. And that looks like an avocado or something, but that's fine. Alex, how tall were the chopsticks at liftoff?
They were probably about 90 meters from the ground, maybe 100 meters from the... probably 100 to 110 now that I'm thinking about it, because there's also the bottom concrete level. So yeah, about 100, 110 meters.
So for all the Americans out here, right, it's a football field.
No.
Yeah.
300 feet.
Yeah, it's
Sorry,
true.
either type of football, right? It's almost approximately 300 feet above ground level. And that is a couple meter chunk of something flying up that high. You're going to see where that came down because there's going to be a big hole wherever that came down, over towards the beach dune side. Wow.
Yeah, that's massive there.
Yeah.
Oh man, thank you again, Patrick, with the Patrick art. You can tell it's Patrick's because it's not red. All right. Continuing along here, we have a couple more of your questions to answer here. Let's see. Here's one from Jingwei saying, the launch showed that starships have very strong structural integrity. Isn't that very true? And then Hangtime Central saying, could have avoided the run by reverting to the VAB. And I'm still voting that we need to put, what's it called? Did it just do a Kerbal in our next version of the intro? Just saying.
Yeah.
I saw the video comments and a lot of people picked up on did it just do a Kerbal?
Yeah.
There is a testament. You just mentioned, all right, the comment just came through where you mentioned the structural integrity of Starship. And the fact that Starship stayed together on top of the booster as long as it did is a testament to how they put that thing together. They were not messing around.
I think as much as Stage 0 sparked some concerns, I am impressed by the performance of Super Heavy and Starship.
Absolutely.
Because not only was it together, it was still able to fly with multiple engines out, and it got to almost 40 kilometers. Like, this was basically the most suboptimal conditions you could launch in, and it performed fairly well. So for me, the whole thing is like, how did you think went this from a how good was this perspective? And I'm like, if you ignore stage 0, I would say pretty good.
I think the booster teams. Go, Alex.
Because I'm getting reminded of all the damn test tanks that we've seen for so long, boy. But all of that is data for structural reasons and structural testing. That is the whole reason they do those tests with the tanks, right? And it kind of paid off, I will say.
Yeah, I want to say that the booster team that put the booster together should be very proud that booster continued flying as long as it did. People cheering, whatever damage happened to the stage 0 and all that sort of stuff. The fact that booster still made it as far as it did. Rockets are not ever designed to lift off when being attacked from the rear. And this rocket was being attacked by gunshots, a shotgun filled with concrete shards, all sorts of different sizes, being fired into the bottom of it as it took off. But not even just as it took off, for like seconds beforehand, right?
Yeah, it basically withstand very, very suboptimal conditions. And then rockets are also usually not designed to lift off with 3 engines out. Like, that's also not a situation you want to have. And the flight computer as well, like, props to the software team here.
Yeah.
It adapted on the flight with engines going out and like thrust being weird, and we saw pictures of where the engines went out, and it was not really like in a symmetric way. It was more like one side got all the engines out, so you had a lot of asymmetric thrust as well. That worked really well, and that was impressive to see.
Yep, absolutely. I saw a question come through about being the voice of reason. Can you do some spots with the mainstream media? I wish that somebody was out there saying these things to the media, right? Because the media wants to run with, oh, the rocket exploded, oh, failure, that sort of stuff, right? And we actually changed the thumbnail. We had a thumbnail that the first thing, it said like Starship launch, and nobody apparently cared that the Starship launched, and then it got briefly changed to, it was like launch failure or something like that, but it wasn't a failure. The launch happened. Like, it stayed alive and it flew for some amount of time, and eventually the right place for that thumbnail to land was flight terminated. Because the flight was intentionally terminated after the vehicle lost control, couldn't keep itself going anymore. But the mainstream media doesn't really want to hear this, right? There is a ton of success in what SpaceX did, and a ton of information that they're going to get. Like, I don't know what happens if you fire the world's most powerful rocket at a slab of concrete with sand underneath it. But there's also lessons to be learned. And the only way that this is a failure is if SpaceX refuses to learn from it, and SpaceX doesn't work that way.
Yeah. There's a meme that I actually saw yesterday that it's all about that, you try to explain that this is an iterative process, that, failures are expected, because frankly, there was a failure, but it's a launch failure. It's not a test failure, I will say, because they gather a lot of data. The test was about gathering data, and, it's like, yes, there's success in having a failure, right? And, trying to explain that to normal people, it's very complicated because we're used around us to be told like, no, that's bad, and it's the end of the world, and SpaceX is doomed, right? And trying to explain, and it's like, yes, okay, I understand you, but it blew up. It's like, but I'm telling you, that this is the whole deal. That's the whole, it's.
Yep. Yeah, Patrick doing some spoilers there, but of course we're talking about concrete flying in directions, and SpaceX not controlling which direction the concrete was going to fly, and the impacts, literally impacts, that we see on the tank farm and stuff like that, the holes blasted in the side of the drawworks panelings, and even the shielding at the bottom of the tower. Just go ahead, Patrick, just roll whichever video you have ready.
Hang on. Hang on.
Oh, okay.
Wait, I'm the host here. I got this.
Oh, no. What? Okay, sure, go.
We have a $50 super chat here from Eric Evers, and he says, "Sorry about the van, guys. Hopefully this helps." Now, Das, as you were mentioning,
Thank you, Sawyer. Thank you for reminding me. Sorry, I sort of charged into the China shop like a bull here. I think probably everybody has seen video of our up close and personal encounter with pieces of the orbital launch mount. Every single time that we deploy cameras, whether they're remote cameras, whether they're video cameras, the sound-triggered cameras, like whatever it is, when a rocket company, it doesn't matter which one it is that gives us access to deploy remotes, it's always at our own risk. And we know that, right? Photographers, you've seen photos on social media where the photographers show like the lens is cracked or pitted or something like that, right? Or their camera has been blasted with something from the pad or coated with water or something like that, right? You've seen cameras that get melted by wildfires started by the rocket taking off. It's nothing with the pad or GSE or rocket, but a wildfire goes and then melts the camera. Every time somebody puts out equipment, they do it at their own risk. It's not the rocket company's fault. It's at their own risk. And photographers, organizations, everybody takes it upon themselves to accept that risk. That Jack, right? Jack is here and he's nodding his head, yes. You take it upon yourself to accept that risk that there may be impact to your own equipment. And some of these lenses, some of the cameras aren't cheap. You don't put like, oh yeah, got it totally cheap. No, Jack, we're not talking about you specifically. Jack is staring me down now. But some of the cameras are expensive. Some of the lenses are expensive, right? Probably some of the tripods are even expensive. But Patrick, if we're ready now, show us the last views from some of our equipment that we got. This one is from VanCam. And it was looking up until it couldn't look up anymore.
Goodbye, VanCam.
we salute you.
Look at this. Bam!
Yeah.
And I can tell you, as we saw this footage the first time, we laughed a bit. Like, it was like, it's sad, but kind of cool.
Is it... Now, okay, is this the one that shows the cracks? There we go. The cracks in the glass and the camera falling off the roof of the van. Like,
Yeah, some of that is debris from the rocket, but a lot of that is glass.
This is the first-person view of that.
This is the first-person view from our VanCam. You've seen lots and lots of time of VanCam from all over. Look at this.
There you go.
And just before it, let's just say, stopped transmitting video. This is what it saw parked in Danger Lot. And we're not kidding. We call the place where we parked Van Danger Lot because when SN11 went, remember the foggy view where we didn't actually see the rocket go? And then all of a sudden, pieces of stainless steel the size of cars are falling down around us. And we get, all that great video. And it's literally just there. That's what I wanted to see. Thank you, Patrick. Pause it at the end of that where the camera's like falling sideways.
Cuts off so quick.
It really is. That is Danger Lot, and that is the van camera that we literally, intentionally, and 100% at our own peril, mostly the van's peril, but whatever, parked in Danger Lot. And these are the final frames. I haven't got to the SD card on this thing yet. We're going to try and see if it's in any shape to pull an SD card out of it and see if we can get more than this.
We first have to find it.
I'm pretty sure it's nearby. I'm pretty sure there's the van right now. Is this a photo or is this live? That looks like live. There's birds flying.
That's live.
Yeah, that's live.
Okay.
That's van. I feel like there's standing.
Oh my goodness.
That our van was still there or something, right? Like I could sing that almost. But I got a chuckle from Jack too. But that is the van that we intentionally and at our own peril, with the permission of SpaceX, parked in a spot that we refer to as Danger Lot.
We had it coming.
And as you said, this is not different from other places, right? Like, this is not just because it is a Starbase. I know other photographers that went to other launches on, very traditional places like Vandenberg or Canaveral, and their lenses got wrecked. Their cameras just were blasted, right? And so it is totally normal for photographers that go to launches to actually risk their hardware for the shot, for the incredible shots that they get to us. And I can say, as the person that looks at them and knows nothing about photography, I think they are awesome. And we have a lot of photographers at NSF as well, so shout out to them because they are impressive photographers that we have.
Yeah, I can say from experience, I have seen cameras that have parts that have been completely melted. I've also seen lenses that get coated in layers of SRB chemicals that then get inside the lens and make it unusable. So unfortunately, it's a hazard of the job. So we kind of expect it. That's why my cameras are legitimately semi-expendable. Obviously, we prefer not to, but
They should be
with the anticipation that there's a chance.
This should be in one of those videos of like cameras in the last minutes on, in very dangerous places, and they show like one camera being eaten by lava or something, and then this one is like, boom, there you go.
There we go.
Wait a second. All right.
This is live,
Patrick,
right?
This is a live shot of the van from another one of our cameras, I think. I'm waiting. Patrick's going to confirm that. I'm almost positive this is a live shot because this is live. Yes. Okay. This is still live from another one of our cameras that just fell over. I put concrete on the bottom of this camera on a tripod that was set to like the lowest setting it would go. And then, there were lots of zip ties involved. But this camera is still alive and it's just fallen over on its side. And we still have control of this camera. It takes a little work to get it pointed at Van, but this... Sorry, I'm confirming something from Nick real quick. This is a live shot of the van, and I am very proud of the systems that Nick installed in this van, because this van is still online. That solar panel on top of it charged the batteries for the equipment today. I don't know how. There you go. The camera's moving. Nice. I don't know how, but the LTE panel antenna, you see there's an antenna that's sort of looking at the solar panel, not getting a lot of signal from it because it was supposed to be talking to the roof of the hotel. That panel antenna is still getting signal right now. That little wooden box, there's sort of a thing that's open, but that wooden box that's zip tied to the van luggage rack, that is a microphone that is still sending audio right now. The solar systems are still on live. I still have live telemetry from the van. I can see how much it charged up today. The systems did exactly what they're supposed to do. All of our systems are redundant connections, right? So we have a primary connection here at the van, which was that dish on top that was a point-to-point 5 gigahertz point-to-point link that was talking to our command system on top of the roof of the hotel, right? Margaretville, South Padre is where we were. And the van was talking directly to us. I got almost 200 megabits from that dish on top of the van. And then we had
I want to put it really quick. What you're hearing is live audio from it, so proof the microphone still works.
Yeah.
Nice. I want to point out this funny story. I told it yesterday in live stream. It's hilarious. Before we departed van, our last action item we wanted to do is open the rear windows to make sure the air is getting properly into the area and we don't have any overheating issues if the day is hot. Well, turns out that was a wasted step. Because, well, the windows are open now.
We spent like 10 minutes trying to figure out how to crack the rear windows on the van because there's equipment in there and we're like, oh, if it gets a little hot, we want some more airflow. So apparently Super Heavy and Starship figured out how to crack the windows of the van here. There is a live view solo, a bonded video encoder, right, that we used to send video from the field. We had critical cameras. The critical cameras were on bonded video encoders. All that means is that they have more than one internet connection that they add together to send video, right? And there is a live view solo in the back of that van on the opposite side that we're looking at right now. It is still live, right, or it's still online right now. It's actually still sending me a video signal with 3 of its 4 connections. It had 4 connections. 3 of them are still working. And it does not have a video signal because let's just say the camera's disconnected.
We have not found the camera. We have to be like the honest answer is there was two cameras.
There were 2 cameras on top of van. That's correct.
And we have not seen, I think, either of them so far. It seems like the one thing that really was taken out by this massive boulder was the 2 cameras.
No, the boulder did not take them out. Really? It took 4 hits from chunks of concrete to the van.
Really?
To take the cameras out. The first big hit, sort of
The frame hit.
dented the back of it there, blew out the windows, the rear window and the side window, and completely, just reshaped the back of the van there slightly. That was the first big hit, but it didn't affect the point-to-point dish, and the cameras were still on the roof and still sending.
It's now a compact.
It's now a compact. I want to cut the back off like an El Camino and put a hot tub in it.
Of course not.
Anyways, the cameras were still sending when it took that first big hit. And there were 3 more distinct hits. I know everybody's seen Lab's video from the Raptor, or the rover camera, or whatever. I think he calls it rover, right? I don't know if it's 1 or 2. Everybody's seen that video. But if you watch that whole video, the first big hit dents that frame, and then it takes 3 more hits before the cameras get knocked off the roof. And the whole time, it continued to send video. And then even after that, right? Hang on, I'm getting this right here, right? A metal print that Nick sold in the store. Remember, we were still live. The launch had just happened. And let's see the metal print real quick if we could. Patrick, can we see the metal print? Yes. This metal print that showed up in the NSF store shortly after liftoff while we were still live, this metal print was sent to our servers so that it could be put into the shop via van after it took all those hits. In van, it automatically failed over to its secondary system as designed. Any systems that went offline, they had independent fuses so that the loss of any wooden system wouldn't take the entire site offline, right? So like subsystems, like microphones, video encoders, camera power, all that sort of stuff. PoE injectors that power one of the cameras. As those subsystems failed due to critical damage from flying concrete, the fuses popped so that the rest of the van stayed online, and this video made it to the shop. Didn't it sell like almost 200 copies?
Yes.
This print, not this shot, made it to the shop after the van took all that damage. Because the way that Nick put it together, the way that we designed it, allowed the van to continue kicking even after it took all that damage. I am going to walk up to this van, and I am going to sit down in the driver's seat if I can open the door. I'll climb in the windows like the Dukes of Hazzard if I have to. And I'm going to get the van key, which is in my pocket right now, and I'm going to see if this van starts. I have faith that it's going to start.
At this point, based on the story, I think it's unlikely that it will just turn on and work. I mean, to be fair, there is substantial damage to it. It's not like it's unharmed.
Yep.
The frame looks heavily
It looks
hit.
like Pac-Man. Like it has a Pac-Man shaped dent in the C-pillar. I don't know what it is on a van.
Can we get a new livery on it, like a Pac-Man livery?
So anyways, we have, because the van was such a trooper, we had a special bit of merch that we put out in memory of the van. Honestly, the store description should just say, I think we're going to need another van. I don't think it says that right now. But we have put out our new concrete way to go. We have these UFO Hunter van. It was actually a Dodge. Man, it didn't dodge very well.
Yeah, it was bad at dodging.
It was very bad at dodging. Hey, there you go, Sawyer. There's your pun.
I appreciate it.
And we got the silhouette of the van being impacted by what was likely a piece of the orbital launch mount. And the van kept going. And we've put it in the store. Please help us buy another van. My mom called me. And my mom was like, you can't get rid of it. You need to put that van in a museum. And I'm like, really, Mom? I don't know if it needs to be in a museum. Oh, no. But we did put some merch out for that. I am very proud of the way that the van was put together. I am proud of the work that Nick did. It's still together. It's still online. I'm getting solar telemetry. I can ping the router.
You have not seen the inside yet, though.
But I'm talking to it.
Yeah, that's true. But not seen the inside yet.
So anyways, y'all, we did this to sort of commemorate it. But I'm going to say one more thing, right? I read the internet. I've been around before. Oops. And, oh, look at that. Neat. So anyways, thanks. I see the internet. I see the comments. They're like, oh, they're so stupid. We did that at our own peril, knowing that it was likely to take damage. I was almost positive that at the very least windows were going to get blown out. And that was an acceptable risk. That is what we decided to do. That wasn't SpaceX's fault. Oh, they're so dumb for letting people do that. Massive thanks to SpaceX for allowing that in the first place. But that was done at our own peril, and I am proud of the fact that that van took a licking and kept on ticking. I guess it took a licking and keep on ticking, right?
We even we should have recorded that, but when we departed van for the final time, by the first attempt, we should have recorded how we said goodbye to it. Because there was some serious goodbye van, you're on your own.
Godspeed, van.
Yeah.
But you asked, and people are already responding. We have a $100 tip from Spherical Rat saying more van repair fund. Hashtag danger van must live.
You have so the van has lived on the beach as a beach vehicle for many, many, many years, right? So Spherical Rat, the $100 tip is probably a very large percentage of the value of the van.
I don't want to call out van, but the hardware on it is a significantly more value than the van itself.
The batteries, all right? There are two 100 amp hours lithium iron phosphate batteries in the back of the van that we use to power the camera equipment, right? You don't use the vehicle battery. We have batteries for that. In the 100 amp hour LiFo batteries that we have in the back of the van are more expensive than the Blue Book value of the entire rest of the vehicle.
Wow. That's saying something there.
Anyways, help
way,
us out. Go ahead. Sorry, get all everything.
Yeah, I don't know about you. I've got so many NSF shirts, but one thing I do love collecting is stickers, and this is now available in sticker form too. All of that at shop.nasaspaceflight.com.
Good grief. Anyways,
man, yes.
Again, Mom, I'm doing a show right now. You can't call me. She's probably watching the show and she wants to tell me something about the van, and I'm doing a show right now.
I love my mom. Oh,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say that to me the most impressive thing is that it took for the thing to actually lift off, because we've put it out a few times already, right? And it's survived a lot. And man, it actually took the thing to launch to actually get a hit, and the hit was just like a block of concrete hitting the van and knocking out a few cameras after multiple knocks of blocks of concrete hit it. So yeah, I'd say you should be very, very proud of that van, of all the things.
I thought about it this morning. We should make sure that a pad or a sticker is on it actually from our basically for every launch it survives, it now gets a sticker and a bumper sticker for every time. It's launch 1, launch 2, and we will just add on stickers the more time it survives.
It's like a suitcase or something that's around the world, and it's got stickers for every country that it's gone to and stuff.
Like they do with Crew Dragon.
Yeah, like the fighter jets, for example, or the dragons, the dragon capsules. Getting their mission patches, and the van gets a mission patch for surviving the first launch attempt of Starship. And by the way, Van, not going to make you panic here, but if you're still drivable, I think your future will be for future flights, possibly.
Oh, goodness.
Who knew you needed a storm chaser vehicle? Go ahead, Sawyer.
Well, you can keep talking. I do want to run through some super chats here. James with the support, thank you for watching us during the live stream. Remy Truck, thank you for the 20 euros. Gil Decad, thank you as well for the support, along with Tom Brooks, another tip at tips.nasaspaceflight.com from Spherical Rat. Thomas Vanderblomen, thank you for becoming a Pad Rat member. Spherical Rat with another $5 tip. Extremely generous, Spherical Rat. Thank you very much for that. And hopefully you're not spherical always, unless you like being spherical. Steven, thank you for coming. Pad Rat member, Red Team member, Mike Bugal, thank you. JP, thank you as well. One giant heat tile under around OLM, Martin asks. I guess that's kind of like what Elon tweeted about a little bit earlier. Spherical Rat with another $5 tip talking about the potential of a flame diverter, which might not be an option given a 6-leg OLM, the orbital launch mount there. I guess that's something that's an option there. Justin, thank you for becoming a Pad Rat member. Nutters, thank you for the $10 super chat here. We've got so many more here. I'll go through a few more quickly, and then we'll go back to more questions. Scotty Park, thank you for the 2 Great British Pounds. G&J, thank you for the $5. Jorgen, thank you for the support. And then we've got Daniel getting new merch for the special occasion. And then a special message from Nick saying, next car needs to be armored. Although I think Van did pretty darn well without it.
Like a storm chaser vehicle. Sawyer, thank you so much for keeping up with the super chats and stuff. I have updates on why my mom was calling me, if you want me to hit those real quick.
Breaking news. Go ahead.
So my mom has sent me some text messages. I told her, please text me. I'm live on a show. And she says, that was my idea on the shirt. You better get me one. She's working right now, and she is laughing her head off currently. She's listening in or watching the show on her phone, I guess. And unfortunately, we're not set to pipe her into comms or anything unless I put her on speakerphone and try to hold her up next to the microphone. But Mom, that was my mom's. She was like, you need to go in a museum. You should make shirts. You should make stickers. She was telling me this yesterday when we were talking about the van. I think it was over lunch or something over in Margaritaville. And yes, Mom had a great idea. Our fantastic store people made it happen today. And here we are. I don't know if we can get her on, because she's working right now, so I don't know if we can get her on comms.
Yeah, shout outs again to Pauline and Mark for making this happen again. It's and not only that, everything. Huge shout outs.
I want to point out
up with us.
SpaceX may have had John Innsbrucker. We had Das's mom on live stream. That makes ours immediately better.
Everybody's telling my mom hi. Hi, Mom. So Patrick,
really quick first, we have 3 amazing pieces of support that just came in. Atarma Priel, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, with a $100 tip saying #DangerVan the Immortal. But wait, there's more. Space Pope with the $100 super chat saying, for the concrete diverter for the van, which now we need to install that.
We're just going to put a flame trench in front of the van. Go, Sawyer.
And we're not done yet. We have Jerwa with Danger Van does whatever a Danger Van does with the $150 tip at tips.nasaspaceflight.com.
Wow.
Holy cow. I think we may have paid off van.
Well, remember the tips thing, you don't have to have a YouTube super chat account or anything like that. A lot of people said they wanted other ways to support what we do, and the tips.nasaspaceflight.com goes straight to us. So thank you so much for using that there, Jerwan. Does whatever a Danger Van does.
To the tune of Spider Pig. I got you there. I actually sang it. For that much, I will sing. Das, you were saying.
Here, okay. So, Patrick, can you get me that live shot from Lazy Cam? Okay, good. Yeah, here's our lazy cam. I'm controlling Lazy Cam live here. Let me see if I can get it to pan and tilt. This camera is still alive. Yep, there we go. All right, there's I think I got the other side of the shot here. Yep, there we go. There's the suborbital tank farm gate. Oh, somebody's camera on the ground there.
Yeah, that's other cameras.
Yeah, I don't know whose that is.
There's more in the background.
Oh, there are. I can't go down, Jack. That's the lazy way. That's the body of the camera. I can go up though. So let's go up. We hadn't done this live before, but let's see what we got up here. There's some of those lifts that they put in the background. I don't know who set a camera there. I don't recall there being a camera there.
Yeah, also I want to point out United Rentals.
Yes.
You might get some new vehicles soon because I think these one were parked a bit too close.
All right. Pardon us not rotating this for you. Look at this. Here is some more equipment. I think this was Tim's equipment back here.
Yeah, right. We're not rotating it because that is how the camera is right now. Currently,
yeah, that's the orientation of the camera.
Oh boy!
I know Tim had a big tracking rig there that was bagged up, so I imagine that's the tracking rig. I know the blue thing in the background is a microphone enclosure. It says acoustic device release.
No, that's actually a keg. The blue thing is a keg.
It's a keg.
Oh my gosh!
Some sort of intergalactic kegger. The store message is nice, but hang on, I'm going to keep looking up this way. Let's see what we got. There is Labs Rover cam in the background coming up here. Yep. There's some stuff on the ground. Look at the concrete chunks behind and underneath it there.
Oh boy.
Does it have windows in it?
Yeah, there's the sticker. There's the windows.
I see the sticker on the front, but I don't think there's the rearview mirror is folded. I don't think there's glass in these windows.
Oh yeah, that could be.
Oh boy. Here we go.
I think everybody that has equipment there, including like Lab, EDA, and us, will have a big damage analysis day once we get there.
That is definitely broken glass on the back of it there.
Yep.
So, anyways, I don't know how
point
much
out
further.
that There are already
Go.
insurance companies that have said that they might not cover this damage. So just they tweeted at us. Just putting that out there.
Yeah, rocket
Sorry,
damage.
that was an automated flip whenever it reached. That was the camera looking straight up from its perspective. There's some more tripods, lazy tripods in the back there, it looks
So
like.
lazy.
Yeah. Is that more gear on the ground? I'm not sure what that is. There's some cinder blocks that were previously holding something down. I don't see what used to be with those cinder blocks, though.
The cinder blocks are standing at least.
Yeah, the cinder blocks are...
Stinks for whatever was with it.
That... So here's another thing. You see this orange tripod? I know if people are interested or not, just tell me in chat. But this orange tripod was... Is that like a camera part? That looks like a filter for a camera or something. I know the camera can't... Yeah. You see that there?
It looks like there's a ring, and then it looks like a lens hood almost off to the side there too.
Off to the back or side or something.
Yeah.
The orange tripod is the primary connection for this camera, and the secondary connection was the point-to-point, and clearly this orange tripod is not in service anymore. The antenna has fallen over, but...
It's also lazy.
It's also lazy, yeah. The camera, the camera that is controlling, or the camera I'm controlling right now, it failed over to its sibling, and this camera is being controlled via the van right now. And the van is still online because it has that camera on top. But our sites that are close to each other like that, we designed them so that they can fail onto each other. And if one has a problem, it can come up. You can use another connection that's nearby. And this camera is actually being relayed to us live via the van right now. So I am very impressed. Go, Alex. Sorry, I'm talking a lot, but I'm really proud of the van.
Is that another camera on the other side? Like
Yeah, they were.
under van?
Let's see. I can zoom in.
At least there were cameras put there. Like, I know in front of van, like, there were cameras.
That...
Oh, yeah, that's
like a camera, yeah.
What is that thing?
Is that a camera?
I don't know if that's a camera. I'm going to have to manually focus it, but we'll see what I can get.
What is that?
Stand by, I got it. No, maybe not in that direction.
What are those?
It's lazy cam, so it's also lazy vision cam. It's
well, we're being so mean to all this stuff, calling it lazy after surviving the world's most powerful rocket.
So
that is the gravity gimbal mount that VanCam was on, and I do not see any signs of VanCam still being attached to that gravity gimbal.
No, oh my goodness!
You can see the weights on it. The part at the top in this scene that has the bolt sort of sticking out the bottom of it. Those are aluminum weights that we use so that the force of gravity sort of helps us level the camera. And then I think that's the cable, because that is the silicone tape that we use to secure weatherproof the connections. And then you can see the gravity gimbal, 2 axes of the gravity gimbal there. So you got sort of pitch control and you have roll control. That is what you're seeing there. But that white dome, that sort of it's pointing to your lower right. The white dome is actually part of the camera. And the rest of the camera is no longer there. So that is a cast aluminum piece. And
so that's, is this proof that a Starship was not the only thing that lost gimbal control yesterday?
Yes! Yes! I love it!
But even this, y'all, look, we deploy tons, it was no secret, we deploy tons of these Amberest cameras. There are other cameras out there. They just copied the camera models we use. And we deploy so many of these Amberest cameras. They're about $350 each. They go on sale on Amazon sometimes for $300. And we have these all over our sites. They live in the salt pretty well. They don't take a ton of power, PoE, blah, blah, blah. They give us a reasonable video signal. This camera was only about $300. So I have 3 more cameras in stock sitting in the container ready to replace things. And we were expecting for there to be damage, and I am not sitting here like, oh no, I lost the $10,000 camera or anything like that, because we didn't. We knew that this was a possibility, and here we are. So
yeah, I think overall the damage looks controllable. Like, especially with the battery still working, the solar panel probably still working. It's surprisingly in a good shape.
Yeah. We do. Somebody in chat said we should make a video about this. I was completely prepared to record everything. We can go back to shots of Starship now and stuff, Patrick. I know we've probably talked the van to death, but a lot of people are always curious how our systems work. And I am very proud of the way that system worked under assault from pieces of the OLM fired at us by 33 Raptor engines. 30-some number of Raptor engines.
Music Duck, one of those asking the same questions with the super chat as well, just want to point out.
Nice. I definitely think that it would be interesting to talk about, right, the van. We're going to go up to it. We're going to take pictures. We'll look at close-ups of the damage if that's what you're interested in. Yeah, like the van is worth more. A fan will want it for sure.
A peek behind the scenes. Initially, the stream was kind of planned as maybe going out there and showcasing that. The problem is, then we were told, yeah, no way you're going there today. So, yeah. It's always fluid here, what we can do here, and what is already accessible.
Yeah.
As soon as van is accessible, we will get there and get something from it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will, like, our live reactions and stuff, I was, like, bristling with cameras ready to go out there today, and just, for safety purposes, didn't do that. We weren't able to go out today because the pad's not safe yet. So
Yep, situation very fluid, and the fluid we promise is not liquid oxygen or liquid methane.
It's probably leaking out of the van, though.
And in a message from Tuckbone and a reference that Adrian won't get, with the $50 super chat saying, where we're going, we don't need windows.
They're speed holes. They make their.
I remember that quote.
Yeah. Anyways, folks, thank you for bearing with me on the van. Sawyer, take it away. I'm so sorry. I'm just talking, but I am really proud of the work that we did on the van.
That's all right. Again, we've got some messages even still talking about the van and super chats that I want to go through. Musical Wolves saying insurance cover flying concrete from rocket launch. I doubt that. Minifax, thank you for the support. Merrick, thank you for the support. GK, thank you as well. Here's some cash for new cameras and what's left of the Boca Chica birds. Michael talking about the robustness of the Super Heavy, and I'm going to add the robustness of van and our cameras there too. Martin, thank you for the support. Jurgen, thank you as well. And then Rip the Band-Aid, asking a very good question here that I do want to bring up. When will scraps be for sale on Marketplace? This is extremely important. It should not ever be for sale publicly. Please, someone help back me up on what you should do if you find any debris around Starbase.
Yeah. Sawyer, correct me if I'm wrong, but technically it is still the property of SpaceX.
Correct.
Yeah.
So if you find something, it is still technically, because that's happened with, what was it? It was a parachute or a parachute part from a Dragon capsule that someone recovered off the coast of Florida, I believe. Or was it a fairing? What am I remembering there?
Fairing halves. There was one in Australia, and there was also an Atlas one that was found in Florida.
There was also a door for the parachutes. That's probably what Das is thinking about here.
Thank you. And that is still the property of SpaceX, right? So if you find something, it is still technically the property of SpaceX.
And most importantly, before you actually go and grab it or whatever, actually make sure that an expert is around, because some of that material probably be a hazard. just saying.
Yes, it could be dangerous to your health, so please, if you see it, contact authorities. If you know someone at SpaceX, contact them, but if you contact the local authorities as well, they'll be able to help get it packaged up, safed, and to SpaceX, which if then SpaceX says, fine, you can keep it, that's another story. But until then, don't.
I've got a question from the peanut gallery over here. What happens if SpaceX property enters your vehicle?
Oh, that's a good question.
If there are pieces of the OLM inside the van,
there's a good chance there is a piece of OLM in the van.
If there's pieces.
Also, remember when we talked about making sure that there's no water in the van?
Yeah.
It's starting to rain right now while the van has smashed. The van has smashed windows. So, we'll see.
Well, there you
will
go.
get an answer about
Current
how bad
weather.
that is.
Yep, and there's your current weather, yeah.
Sawyer, take it away.
No, I'm kidding. I do want to point out, though, Blake with the $20 super chat saying, glass half full, flame trench partially complete. I'm also going to say by the end of the rainstorm, van half full.
Hey, it was half full even when the doors were closed, honestly. Like, it was not exactly watertight. Let's just put it that way.
There we go. And we're getting more support for the van even here.
Technically, folks, the van it was Mary's. Like, technically, she allows us to use it for everything. But like, if you go and look up the paperwork, the van was Mary's van with gratuitous use by NSF. But we are definitely going to make sure that all of that is taken care of. But massive thanks to Mary for letting us use it in a high sort of danger situation. We knew that there was danger with that, and well, clearly we're proven right. Feels good to be right, huh?
Yep. And by the way, Josh Palmer adding to the van fund. We all with his $20 super chat. We also have more van fund. I just lost the message. There we go from Travis, suggesting raffle the van off. $5 in merch gets you an entry. I don't know if Mary would be too happy with that, but just wanted to point out the continued support that we're still getting for the van there, even through super chats here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which we appreciate that. Actually, here's another question, though, came in through Super Chat as well that I do want to answer. This is from Stephen Cobb. And Alex, I'll pass this one to you. Did Starship reach Kármán line? And if not, how close?
Well, actually, yesterday I made a joke that it reached the Kármán line of dancing like a ballerina in the air. But no, it didn't reach the Kármán line, you know, the 100 kilometer altitude. It reached 39 kilometers per the SpaceX update on their website. So yeah, not even close. A little bit further than a third of the way, but not close.
I also want to point out one thing here. We have a certain amount of Ares 1 fans in the NSF commentator and writer community.
No.
And Ian Atkinson, one of them, mentioned that Starship didn't manage to overtake Ares 1's altitude. So the Ares 1 fan club is still very happy about that achievement, that as of right now, Ares 1 flew higher than Starship.
Yeah, but
Also,
both really messed up the stage separation.
I was going to say, at least one of them actually had staging. I can't say it was clean stage separation, but yes, one of the two did actually separate stages prior to flight termination system activation there. Let's see. Here's an interesting thought from Nick Kane with the 20 pounds saying, random thought. With the time Starship sits throttled up and sand having a melting point of 3,090 degrees Fahrenheit, what is the chance of glass being formed by Starship's Raptor engines at the pad, glass being under, within, or even around the pad that isn't from our windows, I'll add? Is that a possibility? I don't know how much sand there is around there anyway, considering most of it is the Fondag concrete. Any thoughts on that one?
I don't think the glass would have basically required sand to be very near the pad, and it's not really that near. The sand is a bit farther away. There might be some forming on like very hot parts that went flying, but I do not think that will be a lot, because under the pad there's no sand, there's concrete.
There we go.
So there should be Starship glass now?
Yeah, maybe there's Starship glass. Can we put more sand below Starship to create more glass?
Star glass.
I don't know.
I mean, they have it from nuclear impacts. They have it from meteor impacts, especially around like Meteor Crater in Arizona. It is a thing.
Yeah.
Impact.
It is
Maybe
a
that
thing.
can
I mean,
replace the window glass from Van.
in Van, do you think there's enough Raptor glass to replace the glass in Van? I mean, it is a real thing. Like the Trinity site, there is Trinitite, which is New Mexican desert sand that became glass when they detonated nuclear explosions at the Trinity site. And, you know, that's the thing. That's a real thing.
The advantage of this is it's not in any way like emitting nuclear energy. So this glass is actually, in that sense, fine.
Yeah, and impactite is also a thing, so that's from the meteors. But yeah, also trinitite, fun fact, illegal to take with you out of the park there.
Yes, at the actual site. Like if you find it there, you can't take it. But if you get it from somewhere else that it's already cleared or whatever, I have a piece on my desk and I got it legally. So
that all right, maybe that's not the most fun fact, but it is a fact. There's a couple things I want to hit here that'll lead me to a question for everyone. First up, we got Isaac with the $5 super chat saying GoFundMe for a flame diverter. We have another one from where is it? Elmad saying, I seriously think there should be a flame diverter. Am I wrong or not? And then Nate saying the booster knew they needed a fire diverter and got the digging started. Also for the Van Recovery Fund, though. So, with all of those questions in there at once, do they need a flame diverter for the future, do you think? I'll start with you, Adrian.
I think there might be a situation where they really need that. Based on Elon's tweet, it seems like they still want to avoid a flame diverter in a classic sense. But yeah, I don't think over the long term, like, problem is that it's a very easy way to dispose a lot of energy. And the less energy you have on your infrastructure, the more it becomes reusable. So I think down the line, it might become a situation where they're like, well, if we can get this, we have to do less repairs and make it more reusable. So we'll see.
Alex, your thoughts?
Yeah, I will say that probably a flame diverter will probably. I mean, they can probably launch it with that freaking plate that Elon was mentioning with water cooling and everything. But I still think that for rapid reusability, you need a way to actually divert all of that. And eventually, they're gonna find out that yep, you're gonna need something a little bit more sturdy than just put a plate.
Josh, you have any thoughts?
They're going to have to do something to manage the energy. Like, you have to stay in, if not control, you have to influence that energy as much as you possibly can using the laws of material science and physics, right? So there is going to be something that they have to do in order to manage the energy. And it's probably going to involve water, because everybody likes burning energy by boiling off water, which is a big part of the deluge system, right? It's not just the Fire X where it's like, oh, let's mist it so we're all comfortable like we're at a theme park, right? They're going to have probably something resembling a proper deluge system. And they're going to have to stay in control of the direction that that energy goes. And exactly what they do to solve that is going to be interesting to see exactly how they solve that problems. But they're problems. The modeling sort of suggested that that's what was going to happen. They now have empirical, hard ground truth, actually flying ground truth, that that's what's going to happen, and they have to solve the problem. So, put it up higher. But are you going to maybe build an OLM that's 4 times as tall and then deal with lifting the rocket to those altitudes or those heights? Okay, maybe that works. But there are some tried and true methods that NASA and honestly SpaceX, right? Remember, Falcon 9, Falcon Heavy, they fly off of pads that NASA put together. The pads handled the Saturn V. 39A launched Saturn Vs. 39A launched the shuttle. And Falcon 9 flies from that, but SpaceX didn't build that pad. They didn't build that flame diverter from scratch. NASA built that to handle way bigger things than Falcon 9. So I think SpaceX has to deal with the reality of physics, which is that energy needs to go somewhere, and you better at least be influencing which direction or how that energy is handled. How's that?
Yeah. I think that's perfect. I mean, you absolutely need something in this case. This is the proof. I think all of us were surprised there was as little damage as there was after the 31 engine static fire. Even Elon mentioned that. But this is, this is a good indicator that, especially if you want to be able to reuse it, that you need to come up with something a little better. Because right now, it seems like you'll have a reusable vehicle with a one-time use launch pad at this rate. Which I know is a terribly negative way to look at it, but I know they'll get that fixed.
Yeah. It's like the old, the master lock. I wonder who made the latch, right? I don't know if anybody's ever heard that, but it's like, oh yes, the rapidly reusable rocket. Now we just need a rapidly reusable launch pad.
There you go. Chuck Rogers, thank you for the support there. Rasmus, thank you as well for becoming a Pad Rat member. Zaphod, thank you as well, suggesting we need a Waiting for NASA Spaceflight t-shirt with as many streams as we've had lately. Appreciate that. Ryan, so confirm the flip was completely intentional in order to stage separate, right? Appreciate the fun there. Mer26, Farmers Insurance, we know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two. We are NSF. Bum, 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 bum.
Hey, honestly, if you work for an insurance company and you want to have a chat, let us know, like business@nasaspaceflight.com. But let's. I'm open to discussions with the marketing wings of insurance companies.
Darth saying Van needs to be a future test payload in Starship. I'm not against that. although we are down a van if that's the case. Minute Facts, thank you for the support as well. Musical Woes, thank you. Saying SN11 is like Bruno. We don't talk about SN11. Darth Buddha, ahem, is the tower still straight? The tower's still there. I'll take that as a win. Justin, Van needs a name. I think Danger Van has been the winner so far here.
Danger Van.
Does, thank you for becoming a Capcom member. Titan Blade, thank you for the support. Marcos, thank you for becoming a Red Team member. Robert Kemper, thank you very much for the support as well. Dim Gray Sky, thank you for becoming a Pad Rep member. Fortunately, that's what we're kind of starting to see over Starbase at the moment. Plutonium 239, great isotope. Thank you for the $20 super chat, asking why does Starship Booster sound like a monster spawn out of hell? Because it flew off the pad like a bat out of hell. I guess that's why.
Nice.
Roseanne Devasto, love hearing about the equipment. So yes, people do like hearing about the Vandos. There you go. Tom V, thank you as well for $20 towards the van fund. Charlie saying raining dirt in South Padre Island. Astro Van Tucket, the $25 there. Thank you. That again, I guess will go towards van fund. S Hopper, thank you for the support there. Which Hoppy is still there, a little dented but still there. Virtual Loner also saying Elon just used this launch to start the process of digging the flame diverter. Psycho mentioning there are no flame diverters on the moon or Mars, so another solution is needed. It's a good point. Stephen Cobb, thank you for the support. We've got Bjorn as well with more support, also saying Booster 7 started to dig a flame trench on its own, albeit an expensive way to dig. Hawker Tech asking if there was potential to lose engines due to concrete. It is something that will certainly be looked into and is potential. And Chad saying, I understand they don't want to launch, they don't want for the ship, so that's fine, but the booster is only going to launch on dedicated launch platforms. And so again, as mentioned, they'll have to design something. And it is important to note that you can actually see a lot of the rebar down there from what we've heard and the pictures that we've seen. There is some rebar visible, so something that'll be interesting to look at in the future. And Daz, thank you as well for becoming a Red Team member. Das, I'm going to pass it over to you so I can catch my breath a second here.
Oh, it's all good. Thank you so much, Sawyer, for keeping us on track with that. So anyways, y'all, we're coming up on the end here. We still have lots of stuff to do out here at Starbase. We are absolutely positively continuing to gather information about what's going on. Of course, as soon as it's safe for us to approach, whenever that is, we're going to record our drive-in to recover cameras. Remember, there were 2 SpaceX remote camera sites, one inside the fence, closer than the danger lot, and then of course the one we refer to as the danger lot there that the van is in. We're going to record the status of the van and sort of our reactions. May actually try to do some of that live, at least as Starbase Live content, but that is coming up whenever it is safe to access the site. Right now, it is not safe for us to go there. There's no reason for us to go there, but we will be doing that. We're also continuing to gather imagery. So when we're able to go out and get further up to the beach or get other angles and take some close-in shots, we'll be doing that. Of course, y'all, we're aware that there are other things, there are other like leaked photos and stuff that have come out, and out of respect for SpaceX, unless SpaceX officially releases something, we don't use those things, especially when they were sort of, oh, whoops, don't know who sent this to me, sort of deal, right? Like, we know that there's stuff out of there, but as an official professional media organization, out of respect for SpaceX, who grants us this access, we don't run with things like that are from known leaks that SpaceX did not intentionally release. So we're going to continue getting imagery. We're going to get more information about exactly how the ground is. Believe us, we have lots of ideas on ways that we can get y'all some shots. But if you saw some crazy imagery that you didn't see on our show today, that is intentional. We're a professional media organization. We work hand in hand with SpaceX. Other people like to get clicks by, leaking things, and that is not how we roll at NSF. So I know that a lot of people were talking about that in chat, and that is the explanation as to why we don't run with those things when it hasn't officially been released by SpaceX. So anyways, how are we doing on the end of the show here? Sawyer, are we doing good?
We're doing pretty good here. Bjorn coming in, by the way, with a $50 tip here, saying, for Mary/NASASpaceflight's van, from the drunk Swede, keep up the great work. Thank you. And a reminder, speaking of the van, we we have that fantastic new merch that just came out about an hour ago too, in dedication to Danger Van. Right?
But we do. We have the commemoration merch. Look, we're not sitting here. We're not embarrassed. I am proud of the performance of the van. I know it took some hits, but I really am proud of the work that went into that van and the fact that it kept sending us stuff, especially Nick's close-in shot. Like, one of our secret weapons is the ability to get shots off of the remote cameras before you can actually pick up the remote cameras. In that metal print that Nick had in the stop was really cool, and that happened because of the hard work that go into our systems out there. We'll be back. We'll be covering it as much as we can. That's a cool animation. I love it. Nice.
I'm not sure if that was the transition Patrick was going for, but we went for it. So, yeah.
Yeah, and that's all at shop.nasaspaceflight.com. And so get it while it's available, because it is such a cool, impressive design by Pauline, who put that together so quickly, and it's so accurate. And oh man, I know I'm ordering one. That's absolutely amazing.
It's just for the memes. I mean, we're not like, oh, it's so embarrassing that our camera got hit. We're like, yeah, our camera got hit. Like, we're not out there breaking the law or hiding things or anything. That was done with permission. And I cannot stress enough, we took the risk upon ourselves to deploy that piece of equipment there, like knowing that it may take significant damage or, not even exist after the launch. But we are proud of the performance of our systems, and a lot of hard work goes into it. That's for sure.
And I apologize. I neglected to mention Mark as well. Pauline and Mark both working on this amazing designs as rapidly as we did. Again, available at shop.nasaspaceflight.com. Thank you, NASA Spaceflight Actual, for reminding me of that. But both of them, fantastic job. Again, that's at shop.nasaspaceflight.com. And I do want to hit 2 final super chats here as we reach the top of the hour and get ready to wrap up. Also, a little nod to Das, our friend EJ SA on Twitch. We should probably include this in his Only Vans, VANS, I should point out, that he has, which solely focuses on cars that are vans. So that may need to be added to his collection. And
Patrick, your transition works. Can you show us the shop again or not? Like, we've seen the animation a few times. Just go back to that other scene you just had. There you go. Neat. And we didn't get the cool animation this time.
Hey,
if you haven't,
so you can see the shop.
Yeah, the van thing is cool, but y'all, if you haven't yet, we still have some patches left. The 22-inch orbital flight test plushie, all that sort of stuff. Like, the reason we can put out a piece of equipment that may not live through the historic launch, the craziness of the historic launch, is because y'all keep showing up. And whether it's non-financial, you're just hanging out in chat, asking questions, being a part of the community, liking and subscribing, or clicking the thumbs up on the video or whatever. Or you're hitting the shop, or you're doing tips or whatever. Like, everybody that's a part of the community makes it so that not only can we afford to, but we want to keep going out there, bringing y'all content and experiences. Like, the van thing is sort of an experience, right? But it's y'all keep showing up. That's the reason we're able to keep doing this. So thanks to everybody that watches everything that we do for making it so we can keep going. I'll stop talking, Sawyer. You can close out the show.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, everyone, for the support there. Looks like Evan's sneaking in with some merch there at the very end. Ray, thank you for becoming a launch director, one of our higher memberships there. So
nice.
Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Diana, thank you for the support. True Odds, thank you for becoming a Red Team member. And I'm not even going to put this on screen until after I read it, because Gravely Dawn, you are now one of my favorite people with a fantastic pun here, and that's how we're going to have to end it. Gravely Dawn saying, if the vehicle starts, will it be Danger Van Go?
Let's wrap the show.
On that note,
it
Das,
hurts.
thank you for joining us here.
It hurts. Please.
Das, thanks for joining in here for this update.
Sawyer, thank you for jumping in. I was actually driving back from Starbase. I was over in the village hanging out with Mary. So thank you for letting me jump into the middle of the show and run my mouth a lot. I know I tend to talk, so thank you.
That's all right. I can't jump in, so I'm glad you did. Adrian, thank you for joining us as well.
Thanks for having me. And also, since I forgot it yesterday, I wanted to say it on the stream, but I forgot it yesterday because everything got so adrenaline. Thanks to our chat mods and our SPL ops, because they are working constantly behind the scenes as well, making sure you get the experience you're getting right now. So I want to give them a special shout out because they are extremely amazing.
Some of them have been out there, right? Staying around as well and sort of visiting. It's really really incredible. That we have all of these folks really helping us and helping you all to be able to see all of those amazing views on SBL. So really really grateful.
Yeah, you hear us talk about all the time the people on air and the people pulling the buttons, pushing the levers, but there's so many more people behind the scenes getting the merch out to you guys, getting all these cameras, keeping them up and running, moving them, turning them to get these amazing views, pulling the footage so quickly so we can get it to you immediately after something happens. The YouTube moderators who make it so all of you can continue to chat with us and talk with us and get your thoughts out there, and we can answer your questions. It's unbelievable. So thank you to the amazing, amazing team here at NASA Spaceflight, I just have to say. And I also want to thank Alex for joining us. Thank you.
That's always a pleasure. It's been really, really nice to be following all of this up to this point, and let's see more. More.
Yes. I am Sawyer Rosenstein. I have been your host for this update stream for today. As Das mentioned, as soon as we are allowed inside the current keep out zone following the launch, we will update you with how things fared. But until then, we are going to send you over to Starbase Live, our 24/7 cameras keeping an eye on Starbase, Texas. Thanks for joining us.